All right. So it might affect the turnout tonight if some people tried to log in on the duplicate one or something, but I don't think the duplicate one was working. All right, so welcome everybody. I'm Reverend Anna Jones, and it's the full moon again. We're in the middle, actually, of a full moon series that I'm doing this year. It's a 7-month series at the request of Archangel Michael, and he is. So we've done three. We got three more to go after tonight, and so we're literally like right in the middle at this fourth one. So it's a special full moon tonight. Lots of special things about it. I'm going to say a little bit more about it this time because I didn't get a chance to in the study group. I'm trying to, in the Archangel Michael study group where we study these messages, trying to every month do more of the explanation of what's happening with the upcoming full moon, etc., in the teachings in that study group. But tonight I didn't get a chance to do that last time, so tonight I'm happy to be able to share more with you all. And of course, if you're listening to this on the podcast where the full moon's already passed, you can always just fast forward through this introduction, although you're going to hear the questions that I'm going to put forward in this introduction, but you can always fast forward through the slider, through the introduction to get straight to where the part with the prayer and the invocation begins in order to listen to the transmission. So all of these previous ones that have been in the series thus far, so the three that have already happened this year, the global transmissions from this series, have already been put up on the podcast. And the podcast, for those who may be new, is the Celestial Voice podcast. It's available on iTunes. It's available on YouTube. It's new on YouTube, just this year and last year, and not all the many years. And it's available on my website. On my website is where it's been posted from the very beginning. I think maybe iTunes as well. But I'm pretty sure that all of the episodes are up on either annajonesonline.com or they're all up on in basically where Apple Podcasts are, what used to be called iTunes. I think they now call it Apple Podcasts. So I'm happy to say also that there's 50 messages up there. So the podcast has reached its 50th episode or its 50th posting. And it's many beautiful, amazing messages from Archangel Michael over many global transmission sessions. The majority of them actually are from global transmissions from previous solstices, equinoxes, eclipses, things along that line, especially the solstices and the equinoxes, but even other previous series. I wanted to mention them, first of all, to celebrate the 50th that got posted from last month's transmission was the 50th episode. This will be the 51st once this gets posted. I wanted to mention them also because they contain timeless wisdom. And so if you just scroll through there's so many topics actually that he's talked about leading up to this time period that we're in right now, even like in recent years leading up to this time period. And lately I've been going back to and re-listening to some of those messages. And I feel like they apply even more now, some of them, than they even did then. And again, you can always fast forward through the introductions to listen to just the messages themselves on the podcast. So yeah, so this message will be podcast on the put up and posted on the podcast, and it usually takes anywhere from 5 to 7 business days these days, with my schedule being as busy as it is, and my web assistant Jeff and his schedule being as busy as it is. But we'll get it up as soon as possible. I always try to see if I can get up even sooner if possible. Putting it up on YouTube it has slowed down the process a little bit. But if you subscribe to YouTube, if you subscribe to the Apple Podcast, you'll be the first ones to kind of get notified when it does get put up there. Eventually, we will email it out we'll email the recordings to you all. At least a little notice. It's just a link to go to where the recording is. If you do, anything like subscribing to the Apple Podcast on iTunes, or if you do go to my website to listen to them anytime, you can also download them there and listen to them at your own leisure, so you don't have to keep trying to find them again or find the link back to them. They're downloadable and free. right? So all of this is free, and I do this as something that is something that Archangel Michael has asked me to do. However, there is a donation link on my website, and if you donate, all the funds do go towards not only covering my time, but there's also expenses that go into these podcasts every year, every month. Just there's things that people don't even realize that there's certain expenses, even just in getting the emails out. There's not even a free email service that I'm able to use anymore these days. So anyway, that donation link is up on AnnaJonesOnline.com on the homepage, and also in the email newsletter that I sent out to remind you guys who are on my email newsletter list. So that's kind of the stuff that I wanted to make just announcement wise. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the uniqueness of the special sacred time that we're in right now, and then I'm going to kind of segue me talking about that with the questions that I want to put out there to Archangel Michael on all of our behalf. The process that I've been given many, many years ago, that I was told to use it, and if I continue to use it, it will always work. That process is to never approach the angels without asking them questions, and then also to do this prayer process that I'm going to be taking us all the way through, an invocation process that I'm going to take us all the way through, including the receiving is also a part of that. Receiving the transmission is a part of that as well. So I'm going to try and dovetail a little bit both the information about the sacred time that we're in right now, the natural sacred time period, and the energies of this day. But also just the energies that we're dealing with in general with my questions. So tonight is the full moon, obviously, as the global full moon transmission. And this particular full moon in Native traditions is known by different names, but one of the names that it's known by is in the Native American tradition is the name of the buck moon, because it's the time period in which the male deer, the buck, they grow their antlers, or maybe even for the first time, or their antlers, excuse me, grow during this time period. So it's a time of regeneration. It's a time of strength. It's a time of new energy, right? New energy bursting forth and growing forth in a time of growth and advancement. And it is also, there's several special things about it, but before I talk about some of those special things, I'll talk a little bit about the sign that's associated. I'm more interested in the cosmology personally. I'm not going to really get too much into the astrology of all of it. But there's two different major systems of astrology that we all have easy access to. There's more than that, but that we all have easy access to, especially the most easy access to what is called Western astrology, which is more formally known as tropical astrology. In tropical astrology, this moon is carrying the energy of Sagittarius, carrying the energy of that part of the zodiac. So, in tropical astrology it's Capricorn. I looked at my notes wrong. In tropical astrology, it's Capricorn. In sidereal astrology, which is also known as Vedic astrology, which is the second one that we have the most access to, it is in the sign of, in the constellation of Sagittarius. So if you actually look up tonight, it truly is in the sign and constellation of Sagittarius. If you have one of those apps on your phone, there's some really, really great astronomy apps that are out there. Star Chart is one of my favorites, but there's some multiple good ones that are out there. And you can literally just kind of turn on the app, point your phone up at where the moon is, and it'll show you the constellation that it's literally located in, and it'll show you like all the other constellations around it, above it, etc. So the sidereal astrology, also known as Vedic astrology, is astronomically accurate, and that's why you can look up and see it in this with your physical eyes, with your instruments, with your anything you're using as an instrument, right? You want to look up into Sagittarius, and you'll see it there. But so where does the Capricorn thing come in? I think it's important to discuss this briefly. Again, I'm not going to go into it at all, but tropical astrology is based on the seasons of the year. And this is the it's carrying the energy of just we're just carrying the energy right now of this July time period, this summer time period for those of us here in the northern hemisphere. It's that summer energy, but it's carrying the energy of Capricorn. So I always like to say, I always like to honor both, because it's not like one is wrong and the other is right. They are right about different things, and they're really looking at things differently. They're approaching things differently. But I always like to say the actual physical location, the actual true astronomical location that sidereal astrology tells us about, and that is that this moon, this full buck moon, is in the zodiac sign of Sagittarius, and it is carrying the energy of Capricorn. In tropical astrology, it's carrying the energy of Capricorn. And again, you can read about both of those and you go, how can both of them, be accurate? Because they're looking at it from two totally different visions. One, the tropical, as to where we are in the tropics, where the sun is in the tropics, where it is in the seasons of the year, and the sidereal or the Vedic astrology, where that moon is, sorry, I think I said sun earlier, where that moon is literally, like physically located, astronomically located. Look up, see it in the cosmos, in the celestial bodies, right? So, and of course, it's not in it. It's like it's still around the Earth, right? So that's kind of the other technical thing about some of that is it gets funny. I like to bring this up more and more, and I'm very passionate about speaking a little bit about this at least every time, and at least in the study group I'll go more into detail about this. I won't always bring this up in every single one of these global transmission groups, but the reason being is I believe that we are so out of balance that it's really important for us to, if we're trying to align ourselves again with natural rhythms and natural cycles, which natural time, such as lunar time, solar time, the time that of the movements of the spheres, that natural time really helps us to get back into that balance. It's back if we can align ourselves with some aspect of natural time. So the moon is one of the easy things to do, especially like new moons and full moons and that kind of thing. But it's helpful for us to know all of the energy that it's carrying, and it's helpful for us to know specifically where it is actually at, right? Like where it's actually at and what the energies of that is, right? So yeah, so that's why I'm kind of bringing up both. So in addition, so you can read more about both of those. You can read more about the Vedic astrology full moon in Sagittarius. You can just Google it. You can read about the tropical astrology full moon in Capricorn, and you'll find some very interesting things. What I always look for is what do they agree upon? They always agree upon every full moon, right? So both systems, they always agree upon every full moon being a time period where mental energy and emotional energy is very, very high and very strong and very stimulated, right? So both systems agree upon that. I was also looking at what do both systems agree upon as far as this particular one. And they seem to agree upon, from what I was doing in my research, that this is a full moon of transformational intensity. So not that all of them haven't been, but they all seem to be kind of agreeing upon that this is a full moon of transformational intensity. So those are things that are associated with tonight. And it's already, the peak has already happened for those of you who are back east. And the peak, I think, is happening kind of at around 8:36, something like that, every evening, for meaning like when the sun sets, when the sun sets, when the sun sets. And not the peak of the full moon, but the peak of our ability to be able to see some of the specialness about this particular moon. Because what's also very special about it that makes it different than a lot of the other ones this year, all of the other ones this year, actually, all of the other ones, is that it's moon in aphelion. And what that means is the moon is the farthest away from the earth, and it's the farthest away from the sun that it gets in the entire yearly cycle. Now, the good news about that is, even though all the astrology works out to be agreeing that this is a full moon of transformational intensity, what that additional piece of the aphelion brings is at least it helps mellow it a little, right? I feel like it's intense, but it softens it, right? Whereas if it were a supermoon, which means the opposite, right? The opposite is when the moon is in perihelion to the Earth, which means it's at its closest, right? So instead it's at its aphelion, where it's at its farthest, right? It's at its farthest distance. So I think it's kind of like a yin and a yang. It carries a little bit more yin energy. The not that soft is weak, because it's still intense, right? But it's strong, intense energy that has maybe softer edges to it, that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's one of the things that's unique about it. And let's see, I've made some notes here. Didn't have too much time today to look at too much, but I was kind of impressed by all of the special features, and I did do some posting on my Reverend Anna Jones Facebook page. Didn't have time to do anywhere else. But this is also honored in the Hindu tradition, in the Vedic tradition, where Vedic astrology comes from, as the full moon period for what is called Guru Purnima. And what that means is that this moon is a special time for honoring the master teachers in our lives and in our world. So Guru means master. It also means teacher. It means master teacher. And it's just a very good time for thinking of them, either offering something to them, like of gratitude or something along that line, and just kind of giving thanks for the blessing of them in our world and in our life. So that's pretty special. This particular full moon is special for that reason as well. In fact, I wanted to just take a moment to just send out a message of gratitude of how grateful I am to all of the master teachers and spiritual teachers that I've had throughout the course of my lifetime. Some that know that that's what they were and that's the role that they're playing, and some that don't even think of themselves that way. They don't think of themselves as a master or as a master teacher, but I've had many, and as an interfaith minister, I've had many from different religions and different traditions as well. Teachers and master teachers that I've worked with from different spiritual faiths, from Christianity, Hinduism, Native American traditions, other shamanic traditions. The list goes on and on, actually. And I just feel so blessed to have had that. And I think it's good for us to take a moment and pause this evening, either now or later after we're finished or tonight, and just be grateful to anybody that has been a spiritual teacher in our life, and think those thoughts and send those thoughts out, or maybe send them a little note if they're still here, if they're still alive, or say a little prayer or something like that for them. In the Hindu tradition, in the Guru Purnima, there's even offerings and things like that. There's ceremonies, etc. Kind of much more formal, but I think we can do it in any way that's heartfelt, because the most thing is about that heart connection that the teachers in our lives have helped us to do. And I wanted to say something too about this, and offer my thanks and gratitude to my teachers also, because the angels have been. I know they don't think of themselves as, they're not in that, like, oh, we're gurus. That's not how they think of themselves. But they are masters in their own right of the angelic work that they do. And they are teachers. They're guides and they're teachers. And especially Archangel Michael has played that role in my life. And I feel that I'm very blessed by that as well. So that's why I just want to thank Archangel Michael for being a master teacher for me in my life as well. So I wanted to say all of that before I went ahead and said anything more or further. So the other thing that I wanted to say in addition is I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover regarding the full moon. But yesterday, if anybody's feeling this transformational intensity, if anybody's feeling this, like it feels as if time has sped up, I've been feeling it. I've been feeling it for years. I've been feeling it like gradually, gradually, gradually for years now. A phenomenon that Archangel Michael has referred to as the quickening is both symbolic, he says. There's a kind of a spiritual, energetic way that that's happening and a symbolic way that that's happening. But he also says it's literal too, that there is like an actual quickening that is taking place. So yesterday I saw several, and I didn't get a chance to look at, like, maybe I usually like to look at like 6, 8, 10 different sources, see what, they're all verifying, confirming, etc. But I've seen it from like 4 different scientific sources, indicating that there was the shortest day that the Earth has ever experienced since they started recording it anyway, right? Like, we can't say for sure, before they started the recording process, but before they started tracking it, before they started recording it in recorded history, we had the shortest day that we've ever had for the rotation of the Earth, and that means not like the length of hours of sunlight. That's not what's being tracked in that. That means a 24-hour rotational period. That's a day, right? A 24-hour rotational period is a day, and it was. I didn't have it. I don't have the. Actually, I did want to read it to you. So if you want to bear with me, I thought it was something that was worth reading to you. On July 9th, the Earth experienced one of its shortest days in recorded history, completing its rotation roughly 1.3 to 1.6 milliseconds faster than the standard 24-hour period. This unusual acceleration is linked to orbital changes in the moon's position, especially when it moves farthest from the Earth's equator. So it's not uncommon for it to have an effect of shortening the day when there's orbital changes, but this was the shortest one. And so they say also that it's going to be, they have projected, again, I don't know how accurate they are at projecting this, but they have projected, astronomers have, for it to happen again. Of course, I don't know if it's geologists or astronomers tracking this, but on the July 22nd, which is Mary Magdalene's feast day, which is also another very powerful sacred day. I think that's very interesting. I'm doing a 2-day online Zoom that I'll email you all about, July 22nd. And they're predicting for it to happen again on August the 5th. And it's not very much, 1.3 to 1.6 milliseconds. But for those of us sensitive to energy, they say, oh, people don't feel it. But people who are really sensitive to energy, like myself, everything has felt very sped up, especially again recently, right? Again, this is something I've been kind of feeling has been ongoing throughout like years of time, that things have been kind of moving in this direction. And there's been over the years that I've seen other announcements of like, oh, we just had the shortest day. Oh, well, okay, now we just had the shortest day. Oh, well, now we just had the other shortest day. So there is what appears to be like an advancement of this, which is similar to what Archangel Michael has described. So he's brought through many messages on the topic of the quickening. So I said I was going to dovetail this into some of my questions. So I would just like to ask him a question, like, is this something literally connected with the phenomenon of what he refers to as the quickening, which is associated with the great shift of the ages that he's been bringing through messages for me, I think, before I even knew that it was Archangel Michael coming through back in the late 80s even, and definitely when I knew it was Archangel Michael coming through in the early 90s, right? He was bringing through these messages and about the great shift of the ages that we're all here to be a part of. This great transformation has been called by many names by different spiritual teachers. This great like global collective shift that's taking place that we're all here to be a part of. And sometimes he'll use the word the quickening to refer to that too, right? And he's been using that term probably since the mid 1990s in some of the channeling work that I've been doing. And last summer solstice was the time period in which I heard him speak most at length about it, maybe, or at least most recently about it. And so I'm just asking him if there's anything further that he wants to say if this is a part of that literal manifestation, the fact that again that it happens is not the unusual part. The fact that this just happens it happens, it sounds like a few times a year, and yet it keeps getting shorter because again, I have seen these announcements in previous years where, oh, we just had the shortest one this year. Oh, we just had the shortest one, this time, right? And so it seems like it's getting quickened, right? And it's about that rotational orbit, right? That rotational orbit. So just anything that he wants to say about that, anything obviously he wants to say about the West, anything that I just mentioned, or anything that I'm forgetting to mention, or that I have absolutely no idea about the energies of this particular full moon and this moon cycle that we're within. It is a time, like I said, that all astrologers of different types believe that again it's a time period of heightened emotions. And I think that's maybe why he decided to make this his theme. He said that there's two themes, but ultimately he said his primary theme is to help us during this cycle of seven, right? This seven transmissions that are happening to help us during this time period of great uncertainty and increasing uncertainty in our lives, in our world, etc. But then dovetailing with that, he also has made his focus and theme to be on the topic of the emotions and helping us to understand the emotions. So my other question to him is there anything that he would like to say to us? Is there anything that he wants to say about any of the emotions that he's talked about thus far? Just in summary, he's talked about fear, worry, anxiety, which were part of fear. That was, the first message in this series, which again you'll be able to see the most recent one at the top, and then just go back like 2 or 3 or 4, right? So, and he's spoken to us about anger and the frustration, irritation, which are all kind of connected to a part of that. And then last month he spoke to us about the emotion of feeling unsafe, the emotion of feeling insecure, and basically the moving from that emotion of feeling unsafe and feeling insecure into where we get that like kind of infinite connection to our safety and our security, or where our true safety and security comes from and where it sources from. So he's spoken about those thus far. So is there anything further that he wants to say about any of those? It would be one of my questions. Or is there some new emotion? I find that the emotions he's been focusing on, that like literally during the time period of the moon cycle, the month, right, the moon cycle from full moon to full moon, it does seem like those emotions are really, really up, and maybe they're just up in everybody a lot, but they're really like do feel like they're really up and amplified right now. So anything that he wants to say furthering that, and then I have not a lot of other things to ask, but I do have a question that was submitted from the study group. Those who participate in the Archangel Michael study group every month, not only do you get a written transcript of each one of these messages monthly, but then you also get to participate live and you get the recordings from the study that we read through, and that I like stop along the way and pause and give my reflections on the things that he's sharing. And then in addition to studying, we get a meditation that I facilitate each time based on some of the things that he's teaching or instructing us, right? Some of the things that he shares with us, I kind of write the meditation. So it's a study group and a meditation circle combined. But the other thing you get if you're part of that study group is you get to submit questions if you have any that somehow might benefit everyone, and to know them. They're not personal questions. It's questions that it might be helpful for everyone to know. So there was a couple of questions that was submitted. One is on the subject of being an empath in this world and our empathy, especially the sensitives, high sensitive people of being an empath and what might be good for them. So I'll just read the question. The question is, how can empaths use movement practices such as Kundalini, yoga, sacred dance, and more in order to transmit and transmute and transform energies taking on from the collective for the highest good of all. So that's part of that question. And can he share more on the deeper level of these practices and the deeper dynamics and levels of these practices? And then the question of, are there any other conscious movement practices of being asked specifically here, a way to kind of like move the energy through movement? Are there any other conscious movement practices Archangel Michael may recommend, in addition to something like yoga, conscious dancing, etc.? Right. So that's like kind of like a few questions there, all in one paragraph. But then the other question that was submitted is that Archangel Michael, in previous transmissions, and this is true, many transmissions actually, tells us that he is known by other names in all other cultures and religions around the world. Sorry, come on. Okay. And he says that they're known in all of them, that all the angels and archangels are known in all of them just by different names and different understandings, right? So kind of cultural differences in those understandings. So could he talk to us about how he was known in ancient Egypt, including ancient Egyptian mythology, for those of us who would like to connect with him more deeply in that way? So that's the specific question, and then I'll just add to it, or any other way that he wants to reveal his presence in any of the other traditions too. I think that would also be fascinating as well. So I'll add that addition on myself. All right, so I think I went through all my questions, other than, whatever he feels is for our highest good to know. We always put that into the prayer. And so I'll ask everybody to refrain from doing anything in the chat and just follow along with me through the process I'm going to guide you through. And we'll do some chat at the very end where everybody gets a chance to either make comments or ask questions or just say goodbye, that type of thing at the very end. So I just want to make sure the recording is still going. Yep, everything is still going. So we're going to go through the process here, the invocation process. I'm going to take you through. I'm going to get a drink of water real quickly. All right. So 4 things done in 5 steps. So the 4 things are praising, asking, thanking, and receiving. And the 5th step brings us back to praising once again. Think of it as a circle, right? So praising, asking, thanking, receiving, and back to praising once again. So it completes the circle, a complete circle. And so the praise chant, and this is the process the angels gave me. They gave it to me very specifically, very detailed. Again, they said if I always use it, it would always work. Until they told me otherwise, I continued to do that. So the praise chant they also gave me, and the praise chant that I use, even though I work with many spiritual traditions and many different spiritual sacred chants and divine songs and sacred songs, the praise chant is very specific for doing this work as the medium for the angels, as a trance channel for the angels especially. So it's Michael, Michael, Michael whenever I'm trying to invoke him. If I were trying to do a Raphael transmission, I would use Raphael, Raphael, Raphael. If I were trying to do a Uriel transmission or an Ariel transmission, I would also use those names instead, right? So the first is the name of whatever the angel is. So this is an invocation of Archangel Michael. So a pronunciation, one of the many, many, many around the world of his name is Michael, Michael, Michael. And that's the way that he gave it to me. So that's the way that I use it. Michael, Michael, Michael. Adonai, Elohim. These are Hebrew names for the divine. Adonai, Elohim, and the Elohim is plural. It's kind of like gendered plural, so to speak, not masculine or feminine. And the angels always say that is also, they're a part of that part of God's energy, like they're part of that Elohim. And then Adonai Eloheinu, which are again the Hebrew names, not only ones, but they are some amongst the Hebrew names for God. And then back to Michael, Michael, Michael. So we're going to do this. I'm going to just kind of chant it out loud. You can do it out loud if you're somewhere where you feel comfortable doing so. You're muted. Nobody can see you or hear you. Not even I can. And you can also do it silently. But this process, especially at times on these sacred times or these sacred energies, it works best if you fully participate. and you're going to get the most out of it, and you're going to feel the strongest connection, and you're going to feel the greatest benefit from the spiritual practice of even this, because it's a spiritual practice in and of itself, right? This invocation, using this part, this praise part, is a spiritual practice in and of itself. If you just participate either silently or out loud, right? I'll keep it going for as long as I feel like I need to. It's different every time, the length. And then I'm going to take us from the praising into the asking. So again, that next step. And then I'll guide us through that. And again, please participate. Don't just participate in one of these steps, participate in all these steps. You'll get the most out of this if you do. Right. So, and then I'll take us into the thanking, gratitude prayers at that point in time. And then I'll take us into that step 4, which is the receiving. And that is when Archangel Michael will respond to our invocation, and he will send the transmission. But it's not just a vocal transmission. It's not just what's coming through my voice. It's not just the message that we're hearing and receiving. That's only, I'm aware that it's only like a tiny part of this entire transmission or download, so to speak, of energy that he's sending, not just to me, not just even to all of you who are here live, but to everybody in the world, whether they've asked for this, to happen or not. It's happening because it's for the highest good. He's always doing whatever it is, energetically wise. There's always energy work that he's doing for humanity, right? In whatever way the angels work, in ways that are always for the highest good and that don't infringe upon anything or anyone, etc. Right? So it's a literally a global transmission, and not just to humankind either, but to the planet itself. He shows me that it going to all beings on the earth. He's not just the archangel of humankind. He's the archangel for this planet. He's not. There are other archangels, obviously, but he's the leader, so to speak, of the archangels, right? So he's the master teacher, the master leader amongst them, right? Amongst the archangel realm for sure. So we'll receive. We're just going to relax and we're going to receive. I'm going to ask you to relax into a meditative state and let yourself just receive. And people have reported to me feeling his presence. They've reported to me feeling the energies of his. They've reported feeling energy shifts, feeling touched, feeling moved, feeling heat, feeling tingly, feeling vibration, feeling something energetically during that time period. There are people who maybe not feeling, but maybe they just, something resonates with them of some kind, right? So the resonance is stronger for those who participate. Listening is okay, but you're not going to get the fullest out of it. It's really designed for participation. So he'll speak for, now the transmission will go to everything, but the vocal part of the transmission will come through, and he'll speak for however long he wants to speak for that vocal transmission. Sometimes he'll speak fast, sometimes he'll speak slow, sometimes it's very rhythmic. The way that he speaks, the tone that he uses, the speed that he uses, all of that is intentional on his part. I'm very aware that it has to do with energy that he's doing and light work that he's doing, with not just the message, but the words and even the sounds and the way that the sounds come through with the words, right? So let's see what he has to say. And then once we're done with that receiving and we've got the vocal portion completed, I'll bring it back full circle again by starting to bring us up out of the meditation with a gratitude prayer. I always like to throw in a little gratitude again, because I just feel so grateful for it. And we'll do this, just Adonai Elohim as the final praise. We'll bring it back to praising. We'll do the Adonai Elohim on its own. All right, so let's do it. Now sit back, make yourselves comfortable. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to begin by just centering ourselves into this moment by taking some long, slow, deep breaths, using this as an opportunity to breathe and to relax and to release on this full moon the stresses of the day, the stresses of the week, the stresses of the month. Just breathing in the new energy, breathing out the old energy, and releasing all that you're ready to release, relaxing. And now we're ready to begin the process with the praise chant. I'll begin and you can just join in with me silently or out loud. Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Mikael, 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 Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Mikael, 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 Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Mikael, 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 Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Mikael, 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 Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Mikael, 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 Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Mikael, Mikael, Mikael. Inhale and exhale. And now we'll move from the praising to the asking. And the next step, we want to collectively and individually silently call upon the presence of divine love and divine light in whatever way feels right to us. And then we want to silently ask to be protected and connected by divine love and divine light. We want to ask that that connection and protection form a circle of love, a circle of light, interconnecting and protecting us all, no matter where we are in space or even in time. uniting our light, uniting our energy in a circle of love and light. And then again, now individually, in whatever way feels right to each person, silently call out to Archangel Michael. Ask Archangel Michael to be fully present, not only within our circle of light here at this moment, but for all. Ask him to come in and to bring through his light and energy transmission and activation for all on the planet, including the planet itself. Ask him to bring through his full transmission and bring through those blessings for all souls. Silently ask him to hear the questions that I have read and that I have verbalized here today, and to answer or respond to any or all those things if he feels it's for our highest good. And silently, let's just all giving him our permission, especially to transmit, but also to speak to us. Any and everything that he feels is for our collective highest good. And then we're going deeper into the process, the prayer process, into gratitude. First, feeling gratitude in our hearts, opening to gratitude, feeling gratitude, and sending out and expressing our gratitude. Let's begin by expressing our gratitude by sending out thankfulness and appreciation to Archangel Michael for all that he is, for all that he does, for who he is, for all the roles that he plays in our lives and in our world that are known to us and that are unknown to us. We send out our thanks and our gratitude at this time. Taking a moment to do so silently from your heart. And the second and final prayer of gratitude, again, being done in any way that feels right to you, even if it's just sending it out as in gratitude statements, is directly to the divine, to the source of all that is, for the blessings of life itself, and for the blessings in our lives, and the blessings in our world, the blessings of things that maybe even we've taken for granted, but now is a good opportunity to truly be grateful for in our hearts and send out that gratitude. To do so now. And now we're going to move into the receiving. And so I want you to just deepen your breathing, let yourself relax into a quiet, meditative listening state. I'm going to go deeper now into my meditation and into the silence until the next words will be the auditory part, the vocal part of that energy transmission coming through. From my heart to your heart, I also give my gratitude for all of who you are, the preciousness of each and every unique soul. You are precious in my heart. You are precious amongst us. To all in the angelic realm, each soul upon the earth and beyond. And you are precious in the heart, in the field, in the mind, in the presence of the divine. Each one of you, truly precious. If you could see yourselves and believe, most importantly, in yourselves, the way that we see you, the way that we believe in you, the innate nature of the uniqueness and the preciousness that is in you. None of you would ever feel unworthy or undeserving. Also, if you could remember your soul's story as eternal souls, the story is so much more than just your worldly identity in this one chapter of that story. For you are not your body or any of its characteristics or any of its features. You are not your mind or any of your thoughts or any of your beliefs or anything the ego wants to convince you that you are, and the way that it convinces you that it is who you are. You are not your emotions. They are all sacred. All of these things I'm mentioning. They are sacred. They are precious tools, instruments, vessels, vehicles, sanctuaries, temples. All of these words would apply. As I have also been speaking of in this series, you can also think of them each as bodies themselves in some ways, in the same way that the body is a vessel, a vehicle, a very sacred and powerful one, more sensitive than any of your machines, more sensitive than even your most sensitive of electronic devices, for they are created in your likeness. Just because you cannot remember does not mean that those sensitivities are not there. The mind, the body, the emotions are highly sensitive instruments, highly advanced instruments capable of so much more, each one of them individually and synergistically, capable of what all of the great spiritual masters and master teachers that have walked upon the earth have attempted to show you and reveal to you. That is not just about them. That is not just about who they are, that it's about who you are. Who you are. Beyond the body, mind, emotion complex that synergistically work together. The spirit that you are and the soul that you are. There can never be enough said on this topic. The topic of who you are, the topic of the soul that you are, the topics of the soul story. There can never be enough said until you fully awaken. And there is a mass great shift that is taking place amongst humanity, and a shift of the ages for your planet and your planet's solar system. I will do what I can to say anything new about that today, but most important, because the mind can get too caught up and preoccupied in those things, and your emotions can sometimes go into fear, worry, and anxiety, or insecurity, or feeling unsafe, or anger, or frustration, or irritation. Many of the things that I have spoken of thus far on the topic of emotions can sometimes be triggered when we say too much or reveal too much about the great shift of the ages. But you are not meant to fear it at all. Not at all. There is nothing that you are meant to fear in regards to it, because the divine plan associated with it, the divine plan that is playing itself out associated with it, is for the highest good of all. Indeed, truly, all. That said, there are people who are responding to the quickening. And they're also responding in other ways other than fear or worry or anxiety. They're also responding in ways in which they feel they want to make that happen even faster. that they feel that if they happen faster or if they can accelerate it, as I have referred to and used the term accelerationists, that then they may be able to control the outcome or control that process in between. No one is in control of it. No one can control the quickening that indeed is synonymous with and part and parcel of the great shift that is happening, which is a great advancement ultimately, especially if you understand large cycles of time, like we do and some of the ancients have. While the accelerationists are pushing for things that can push more imbalance where there's imbalance already, trying to push and pull everything into even greater imbalance. Everyone is meant to not be trying to do such things, but to be who you are and use your gifts as a co-creator in this reality. To use your gifts to fulfill your purpose, your role, your destiny. You've heard me speak, if you've listened to these transmissions that I've been giving through this channel for quite some time now. You've heard me speak on many of these topics. Many of these topics I have asked her to release through the podcast, and I am asking them to be released in even more ways. Because there are so many things, yes, that I have spoken of before that I do not want to take the time to speak of again. Because each moment is precious. All of those things that still apply from before, they come forth in this message. They come forward in this moment. Because past, present, and future are not linear. You experience them in a linear way in your movement through space, but they are not linear. And that's part of the quickening that you feel as well as you are becoming conscious of this, aware of this. And yes, literally, it is a quickening, not just metaphorically, literally. But even though sometimes it feels overwhelming, and sometimes it feels as if things are not going forward or progressing, things are going backwards, I can assure you that within the divine plan and the timing that it takes in the big picture of all of the time of the big scale that I'm speaking of, it's like walking a labyrinth where if you just keep going forward, and you are, and you will, there will be no real setbacks, no long-lasting ones from anything that you all are currently experiencing right now. Does that mean that your free will should be used to do anything and everything that you want to do or that ego wants to do? No. No. Look into your hearts. What it is that you truly want. what it is that you are truly seeking. If you were to all describe it on the emotional level and with words that were emotional words, there would be a lot of commonality, a lot of the same things that you would all say. You would say peace. You would say joy. You would say happiness, safety. You would say many of the same things. Love, being at the deepest of your heart. If you penetrate even deeper to the true truth within you of what you're seeking, of what you're desiring, of what you want and need, on that deepest level, if you were truly honest with yourself, you would all say love. And yet there have been spiritual masters and spiritual teachers and spiritual avatars even that have come, that have all shown the way. And when one way didn't seem to be working, another way was shown, and another way, and another way, infinite ways. An infinite number of ways that are all the way of love. Ultimately, every spiritual teacher, every spiritual teaching that is real and from the soul, from the heart, from the divine, is connected to a way of love, a path of love, and a way of love. So then why? Why does it seem that you're so far from that collectively? Why does it seem that still within you somewhere there may still be a part of you that doesn't feel that you are filled with that? To the degree of which your inner knowing, your inner soul's intuitive knowing truly knows and discerns, to that degree. Why? With all of the virtues being given, all of the energy of the virtues, the divine energies that are everywhere and all around you and even within you that you can use to co-create a culture of love, a life of love, an existence of love. And they're all there all the time for you to use to co-create with. So why has it not come forward yet? And in asking why, I'm not looking in any way, shape, or form to ask you to look for what to blame or who to blame. Because it's important to move past shame and blame. the real whys as to why you do not remember the being of pure love that you are, and how loved you truly are, and how you are a co-creator here, not just to learn about love, but to co-create a love-based life, a love-based culture, a love-based system, a love-based existence. None of it has to do with blame. Please, I humbly ask you, all of you, to stop blaming yourselves, to stop blaming yourself or shaming yourself, carrying shame and blame of any kind. What do? They erode your self-worth. They erode it in ways in which it adds to that forgetfulness. The material world is covered in veils of forgetfulness, yes. But those veils actually grow thinner, and they can all be penetrated. When you blame and you shame yourselves, or you feel unworthy and undeserving because you're holding it somewhere inside yourself, even if it's not from this part of your soul story, even if it's not from this chapter of your soul story, your self-worth will be eroded, and then you wonder why you don't love yourself, why the mind, why the ego is being allowed to identify as the self, why the personality then is being allowed to think that it is who you are in every way. It is in part, but not in every way. And to withhold love from feeling it. Because that's what's happening when it's said that you do not love yourself or you are not loving yourself. There's some part rejecting that or withholding that. And what is that part of you? The personality, the ego, the aspects of the mind that wants to convince you that that's all that you are. Nothing more. And that is an illusion. And it's not real. It's not true. And the power of the emotions of blame and shame and the guilt that can also come with them, because they go together as a trio quite often, those emotions. Can cloud, at best, the true self, the true identity, the true awareness of the innate worth that is within your soul. And all souls are innately worthy. It is not a conditional thing. There's conditional love and conditional things that you put on all of your other emotions too. There's so many conditions that you attach to your emotions. And that's not your soul doing it. And that's not your highest spiritual truth or spiritual wisdom. And it is not the true will of who you are. It is not the true will of the divine to do so. The love that you are and the love that you are worthy always of giving and receiving. And the love that you are worthy of using to create and co-create in your life and in this world. That love is unconditional and all-encompassing. Many people are rejecting even the concept of it right now, rejecting the concept of unconditional love. Or they're rejecting it for certain people and not others. That's a condition. And so it's not truly unconditional if that condition is put upon it. Some are rejecting it because they think that unconditional love, when it's practiced, when it's used and applied, means only doing and saying and speaking what people think in their mind, and again, their ego decides is positive, something positive and not negative. And there's a very confused understanding of truly what really is positive and negative. Others are rejecting it because they think that the practice of unconditional love and truly being in that place of owning it, being it vibrationally in every way that you're meant to be it, share it, give it freely in an unconditional, all-encompassing way. That it also means perfection and some level of perfect love that somehow looks perfect or feels perfect without flaws associated with it, and that simply is not the case. You will, if you listen to many of my transmissions through this channel, you will hear me repeatedly say the word perfection and remind you all that you didn't come here for perfection. None of you did. And that the material world is not a place where the human concept that you all construct somewhere in your idealism, that you all have as some fantastical view of perfection, that human concept is not something that is there for humankind. It's there in the human experience. You didn't choose as an eternal spirit soul to come and have this human experience in this portal planet, in this portal dimension, which is just 3 dimensions that's part of a 12-dimension interconnected system. You didn't come here for perfection, to reach perfection, or to experience perfection, or to perfect everything. The very nature of the material world that you are incarnate in, of the matter that is part of your mind, body, and yes, even your emotional systems in their most basic forms. The very nature of that material energy has imperfection within it. There is, however, the perfect. Your scientists have found this in what they call chaos theory. That there is this imperfection, this disorder, this chaos, implicate and explicit, external, internal, inward, outward, in this universe in which you are a part of now temporarily. You are in, but you are not of it. You are in it, but you are not of it. But even in the midst of that chaos, they are also discovering over and over and over again an order that orders it. But that order is the sacred order. That order is the divine order. That order is the order that comes from the divine will, that ultimately is the creator of all creation and of all co-creators. That ultimately is the source of perfection, the only source of perfection, the only existence of perfection within the world, within the third dimension, within the multidimensional existence, within the universe. But what we, the angels, know and understand is that there is beauty very much to the fact and to the truth that the imperfection of everything exists within the perfection of the divine. Exists within it. Your free will does not operate outside of the divine will, but it does not operate the same. It is not the same, and it does not operate the same. But it is not outside the heart of the divine. You have, you always will, and you always will be, no matter where you incarnate, wherever you journey, wherever you travel, whatever manifestation you're experiencing. You always have, you always will exist eternally in the heart of the divine, your heart, within that heart. The infinite love that is all-encompassing, that is unconditional, and not just you and everybody else is not. Not just your group or your nation or your race or your religion. All of creation, all hearts that beat, and all hearts that vibrate. For there are also many different types of living beings and entities that have vibrational hearts that are not the same as yours in any way, shape, or form. The rhythm of their frequency, that's unique. That's the signature of every soul. You can consider that the heart of every living entity, known and unknown to you. And there is a rhythm. There's a rhythm to everything that I have spoken of, because everything is frequency. And also because you are experiencing the human journey, the human experience. There's a rhythm to the world. There's a rhythm to your breath and to the beating of your heart. There's a rhythm in the heart of the planet. Literally a heartbeat of the planet itself, not just all the beings and living entities upon it. That rhythm is connected to the life force. It's also connected to what I would refer to as the force of love. I would also call it the love force if it would be appropriate to do so. And not only are you in it, but it moves in you. And you can't stop it from moving ultimately. Even though you're not feeling love, even though you're not always feeling it, in touch with it the way that I have described it, it still moves in you. You move in it and it moves in you, both simultaneously. Your breath is a physical manifestation of it. The love that moves in you and that you move in. The beating of your heart is a even more profound and succinct manifestation of it as it moves in you. But you also move in it, the collective fields and the rhythms of it all. And this is why dance has been so important and why it has been sacred to people all over the world. To every spiritual tradition, if you look far enough and deep enough, even those that denied it for some time, even those that are still denying it, being a part of those spiritual traditions. This is why this explanation that I've given you and everything that I've just said ties into it. You move in this field of love and this force of love and this energy of love, and it moves in you. And in this manifest experience that you're having, indeed, move. Move with it. Move for it. Any and all movement can be experienced as a dance. You can dance with your fingers. You can dance with your hands. You can dance with your arms. You can dance with your torso, with your abdomen. You can dance with your legs, and you can dance with your feet, and you can dance with your toes. You can dance with your mind. You can dance with your emotions. If you allow your spirit, your soul, the unique and precious frequency and energy and light and love, yes, love, that you are, to move through it and to move in it. And do it for that. It brings bliss. Not the bliss that is from the emotions, not the bliss that is connected to the emotion of joy and pleasure, but the bliss of the soul. And yes, there have been, throughout millennia, cultures that have understood this and who have created movement practices, even though they're not all referred to as dance in the way that I just broadly described it. So many ancient cultures that had certain movements and certain dances and certain specific ways of moving the energy through the body, through a pose, through a position. Yes, yoga, the ancient system, not the modern day exercise versions. But there is much of the ancient system that is still readily available if it is practiced in its depth and breadth, because it is so much more. It is a system that does allow you to move the body and the energy through the body, the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. But is it the only system? No. No. Have some of them been lost? Yes. Can they be remembered and returned? Can they be brought back through your memories? Yes. Are they being? Yes. Will they be? Yes. Especially if you open up to what I have just described, to feel that rhythm and move with that rhythm, moving in love, moving through love, moving for love. Brings the bliss of it. There are many who have lost the love of movement because they think it is just more work that they have to do. The term working out makes it feel and emotionally sometimes manifest as something someone resists because they feel that there is more work that they have to do and they are seeking love and they are seeking bliss that is known through love and love alone. Is that movement good for your health? Absolutely. And many people can be motivated by the love of good health. But that's not true for everyone. And it's not true for everyone either that that's all that it is and that's all that it does. Moving the life force energy through ancient Japanese systems, Chinese systems, indigenous systems known to the indigenous peoples in all continents of the world. And new methods and practices and sequences of movements that will be coming through and that are coming through. But of all the existing ones, there's none more important than you just going into that love, being in the love that you are in and moving it. The energy, the life force that is the light, that is the love. And moving it for the sake and purpose of love because it feels, not just emotionally, not just physically, like you are moving from the soul. Even if it's just the movement of a finger. Even if it's just the slow, rhythmic waving of your pinky. No matter how small, no matter how large, no matter how great or grand, move the energy. Move in the rhythm, the rhythm, the rhythm of the spirit, the rhythm of the soul, the rhythm of the love that is within you and that you are within. Move within the rhythm of the waves, of the frequencies. Move the energy. Move love. But there's also the way that you can move it through your voice. Song, for example. Singing, even if you don't think that you can. Even if you don't feel that it's something that you know how to do. Especially if you doubt yourself and think that you do not sing well. These things can be things that are used to stop. That movement of those energies of that love through your voice. But it doesn't have to be fast singing, it doesn't have to be high singing or low singing. Any. And it's not for others, what I'm describing right now. It doesn't matter how it sounds. It's for you. And it's for your relationship with this all-encompassing, unconditional love. And a loving relationship and presence of the divine. that's in you and wants to move in you and through you, and you move in through that energy. And it doesn't always have to be singing. It can also be using your voice for spoken word, yes. But what are those vibrations? What are those sound vibrations? Are they words of unworthiness that you are moving through and using your voice to speak? A movement of that emotion and of that shadow vibration. If so, acknowledge it. Don't suppress it. The more you suppress it, the deeper into the shadow it goes. It does not go away just to think a positive thought. All it does is suppress it. If you are moving the energy through your voice, if you are moving the presence of the divine energy that is divine love through your voice to speak to yourself or to tell your story through that unworthiness or through shame and blame, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm coming full circle now back to in this message, to speak about yourself or to tell your story. Don't push it back into the shadow. Don't shame or blame yourself by then thinking or feeling how ashamed you are to even be thinking or feeling such things. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that the emotion is there. Acknowledge that there is a part of you that is feeling what you're feeling. Be aware of it. Be present to it without judging it, without condemning it, without trying to bypass over it with something that might gloss over it. Be aware of it. And hold that awareness. Simultaneously with the intention. Both things have to happen. Holding the awareness of what is there and simultaneously holding an intention. An intention of your choosing, it has to be your will. An intention to transmute it back into the love that you are, that is real and that which is true, or to transform it through telling the story and speaking to yourself differently. Or the intention to truly transcend it, not bypass over, but truly transcend it by moving. And yes, you can use the body and the mind and the voice, any movement at all, moving. That's what transcending requires. It requires moving into that truth that you are worthy, that you are deserving, innately of the love that you are. It's not something that is outside, that's conditional to being given. It's the love that you are. And forgiving the shame or the blame or the guilt. Wherever it is and whatever it is and wherever it is from. And this quite well might need to happen more than once. Whatever you choose. Don't just keep holding the energy of that falsehood that you are not worthy, that you are not loved, that you are not love. Don't hold those energies. Don't hold any of those emotions. Move them. Emotion, energy in motion. You move energy through you all the time, even if your body is lying flat and perfectly still. If you are experiencing an emotion, you are moving energy. And humankind is meant to move an immense amount of energy through your emotional energy field, through your emotional body, your emotional vessel and vehicle. You move an immense amount of energy. And I mentioned before, in every one of these messages, in this series of messages, that there's so many emotions and so much emotional energy moving right now that it's creating like tsunami waves of emotional energy. I do not use that word lightly. I do not use it to evoke fear. I use it to help you to understand how big and how powerful those waves of energy are. Move your emotions and move any of the emotions that you feel that you're picking up on collectively. Keep moving them. And yes, that also means not just moving them by emoting them, but moving them by talking about them, moving them by singing about them. In the face of injustice, if you have so many emotions moving and flowing in you about injustice and the injustices happening in the world, you are not alone in that. There's a great deal of that energy moving, being emoted. But speak about it, talk about it, truly communicate, not just talking at, but talking with, commune. Commune being the root of communication. Sing about it. Write poetry and read out loud the poetry about it. You can read it in a fluid way, or you can speak it in a rhythmic way. Because sometimes poetry moves emotions in whole other ways than what your mind can always figure out with your left brain analytical mind, and definitely with your left brain analytical mind waking state. conscious waking state. Poetry can be an amazing way to move the emotional energies, to emote emotions in a way that the right brain and the unconscious mind, and it can actually even go beyond that. It can even speak to the spirit. It can even speak to the soul. It can actually reach and touch a heart. And there's so many different kinds of expression just with poetry itself. It doesn't have to all rhyme. Haiku. So many other ways to emote, to move the energy, the emotion, the energy in motion. And these are just examples. There's so much more. But you are worthy. You are deserving. You are love. You are. Truly, beloveds. Truly, my dear ones. You are. That's the end of the message. I'll just take a moment to say a silent prayer of thankfulness and appreciation for the message and for the angels. And then we'll complete the process by bringing it full circle back to Adonai Elohim. We'll just use that as the praise for completion just a few times. Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim. And then we're going to allow ourselves to shift and move however we need to move that energy through us and slowly start to open our eyes. I feel I need to go do yoga after that message. Like, I felt so much energy moving. I mean, there was just so much moving in so many ways, in so many directions. And yeah, it's amazing. That's all I can say. I'm in awe, as I usually am. So it takes me a while. And I don't have a lot to add as far as visuals. I felt, though, a lot when you talked about the rhythm and how the frequency of everything creates a rhythm. It's a wave and it's a rhythm, like to each wave and each wavelength, right? I could feel that moving through my body. And when he talked about the love and the worth, and he gave the whole explanation about that. I mean, that's ultimately the most important thing he's conveying in this message to all of us. And obviously the emotion that he's addressing, the emotion of feeling unworthy, right? The emotion of feeling undeserving, the emotion of blame, shame, guilt. He's kind of like combining all those emotions together, he said, because they kind of come together in a complex a lot. We experience them a lot of times together. Maybe because we've done something imperfect somewhere along the line and we think we have to be perfect. And if we're not perfect, we're unworthy or we blame or shame, you know. That's something for us to figure out. I felt like I did feel like when he was saying, when he kept saying, why, that he's wanting us to not only listen to his answer, because I do believe that he goes on to answer some of that for us, but on a personal level, being able to really answer that for ourselves, like especially if we're willing to just, like he says, be present to that and not try to run from it, hide from it, suppress it, or stick it back into the shadow, but be present to that and go and really kind of like truly like be honest with ourselves and like feel into it and like why is that there, right? Not feeling into to the point where it overtakes us or it overcomes us. That's not what he's talking about, but just from a place of like soul consciousness, from a place of like very detached, unconditional, loving place that he's describing, right? Like being able to then be present to that and, reflect, contemplate in a whole other way, not just figuring it out, right? Contemplation is not figuring it out. That's a left brain wave. That's a left brain way of thinking, right? Just reflecting on it, meditating on like having it, like questioning it and like being present to it and seeking to understand it again with that kind of healthy form of detachment there from the soul being the in that love, right? And yeah, so there's kind of a whole process here. I'll be interesting to dig into it in the study group and maybe even write a meditation about it. I also felt that there was several things that he was saying that was almost like a meditation in and of itself, just to kind of get us to like meditate on something. So that was interesting. I loved what he said about movement, obviously, and I love how he made it about so much more than the body. I mean, it was just so kind of amazing to me that, and then of course bringing it back to emotion, that energy in motion that we're moving, right? We're moving on that level. And I also really loved what he said about poetry, actually. I've written poetry in a very long time. It's been like probably a few years. Kind of felt inspired to do so afterwards. So, all right, so I'll look at the chat now and see what some of you are saying. I'm going to turn off the recording so it doesn't get too